Today I am reading from a book called Creole Clay, Heritage Ceramics in the Contemporary Caribbean by Patricia J. There are some references to the Hill House family in this book because the book is about pottery, and the Hill House family is synonymous with traditional pottery making in Antigua and Barbuda. Traditional pottery making is making items from clay without the use of a potter's wheel. It goes back to traditions from Africa, how they do it there. And items that are made include the coal pot, vases, those and huge items. This is just a miniature of what a coal pot. Can you see what a coal pot would look like? And this was used for cooking. And the book talks a little bit about the process and about the history. And I thought I would share some of that since I came across it today. For the construction and burning of a traditional firing kiln in Antigua, a thick base layer of wood is laid down on the ash-covered firing site in the potter's yard. The pots are carefully stacked upside down on the wood or placed on edge in the case of low-walled dishes and plates. Hyacinth Hill House also integrates iron pipes, wheel rims, and other metal or fired clay supports onto the pots to increase the airflow for a cleaner, hotter fire. The base layer of wood is lit with the help of a splash of diesel fuel and allowed to burn across until the pots are heated up and the kiln is well lit. A preheating process similar to that used in Nevis. The next step is in firing pottery the old-time way was to cover the entire pile with fresh or dried grasses. Antigua was almost entirely deforested during the plantation period, and a thick layer of tall Caribbean grass will burn fast and hot and provide an insulating layer of ash to hold in the heat. Large bundles of grass are a common firing material used in many traditional pottery communities around the world, and the use of this fuel was previously described in reference to the firing process used by Sinufu potters in Ivory Coast. As commercial wood remainders have become increasingly available from construction and demolition sites in Antigua, the Seaview Farm potters modified their firing practice and abandoned grass in favor of scrap wood. Burning grass was always a fairly dangerous proposition. On a windy day, this fuel is prone to flying embers, and the potter would often have to thoroughly wet down the yard around the firing area. Hyacinth Hill House introduced the practice of covering the burning kiln with sheets of galvanized metal to better retain the heat, as well as firing the biggest pots together for more efficient use of the larger pieces of wood needed to bring these more substantial vessels to temperature. Periodically, during the 1 to 2 hour firing, the potter flips back the metal covering with a long wooden stick to check on the progress of individual pots, turning and rearranging the hot vessels as needed, and adding additional wood if the heat has not burned off the black carbon layer deposited early in the firing. Finished pots can be identified by a clear medium brown color when hot, at which point they are left uncovered or dragged from the pile, where they cool to the characteristic orange with black and gray flame marks. Exhibit A. Now, I get a little mention in the book as well, even though I never learned the family business, but I understand the value of it and was able to draw on it when writing my book, my novel, Oh God, and that's what's referenced here. Antiguan and Barbudan author Joanne C. Hillhouse is Hyacinth Hillhouse's niece. Yes, I am. That's my dad's sister. And in her 2012 novel, Oh God, she uses the metaphor of the fragility of a dropped coal pot to frame the emotional crises faced by her protagonists. So that's my little shout out in Creole Clay.